Good evening here. We are at Wyandotte High School in Wyandotte, Michigan for the 6th annual Downriver Fanfare. I'm Steve Martin, and I am with Gary P. Gilroy Publications. I'm here today. I'm the composer of the music for Wyandotte High School, who will be last today, and there'll be an exhibition. But I do have the opportunity to make some comments along the way to help maybe everybody get a little bit extra perspective on what the bands are doing here tonight. We have a great lineup. There's 15 bands, plus the middle school band that we just got to see. I don't know if you tuned in time to see them, but it was wonderful to see the youngsters out there.
From Dearborn Heights is the Annapolis High School Marching Cougars Band. The band is under the direction of Joe Palmer. The band will be performing its 2010 show, The Incredibles. The Cougars drum major is Greg Grant. Drill designed by Joe Palmer. Color instructor Lori Palmer. And drum instructor Brianna Kujawa.
We just have a few seconds here before the band is on the field and ready to go. A few things to notice about the setup today. Most of the bands that are going to be out here today are most likely going to utilize the front ensemble, or at one point in time it was called the pit. This particular group has some guitars. Looks like we've got 4 guitars out there. I'm fairly certain at least one of them. It looks like several of them are bass guitars. So that's an interesting sound that we're going to be getting out of the group. And I think we're going to see some hula hoop action. So that should be exciting. They're doing the music of The Incredibles. I happen to know a little bit of backstory on this music that's kind of interesting. When they did the soundtrack for this, they were really going for an authentic 60s jazz sound. And there's, in the world of recording, there's arguments about digital versus analog. And the engineers, when they recorded this soundtrack, decided to do it all in analog, which was ignoring the technology. So this is a very interesting jazz sound, and now we get to have it live, so that's going to be exciting. All right, Annapolis High School, here we go, Incredibles.
Annapolis Marching Cougars, the field is yours for Class A Fanfare Exhibition. Ladies and gentlemen, Annapolis High School Marching Cougars.
All right. Several, we'll wait for the announcements.
The Marching Cougars band is composed of 59 members.
All right. It's a fine performance by the Annapolis band playing the Incredibles. We were talking at the very end there right before they started about the recording techniques. It's interesting to hear it live because it sounds different than when you're on the recording as well. They did a great job. Several things to note about the performance. And early on here, I'm going to try to talk about things that maybe you as the viewer can be keeping an eye out for. Just things that sometimes get lost in the shuffle, and especially trying to watch it over the internet, I'm sure it's challenging to pick out some of the details. But one of the things that caught my eye right off the bat about this performance is the beginning and ending drill set. And I'm not sure if you caught that, but they started in those 5 lines, and they did everything they did, and they came back at the very end and brought it back to the exact same set, which is an interesting way to bring start and finish and closure to the show. I thought that was a very interesting move. Along the way, there was a couple of other interesting things that happened in the drill that you'll probably see variations on throughout the night. One of them was the rotation of certain elements. At one point early on in the first song, they set up several different. They were kind of rings. They might have been boxes, and those people were spinning, and there was people stationary, and then other people would spin while those were stationary. Dividing up the different visual elements is something else that creates an interesting effect. And then the color guard had a very interesting costume. I don't know how well you can see that on the video, but they all had masks on their face, which is also from The Incredibles, if you're familiar with the Disney movie. And their costume was interesting, and also their flag changes. That's something that I would really encourage you to think about throughout the night, because the flag changes often move with the mood and the color of the music, and it's the choreographer, the color guard instructor's job to try to find a way to take colors and shapes and patterns on flags and match that up with the music. You start with the music, then you have a costuming idea, which creates one visual effect that's present throughout the whole show, usually. Sometimes you'll see a costume change in the guard throughout the show. And then the flags are a way to really bring a large amount of a different color into the mix as they perform the different segments in the show. So that's going to be something to watch out for. In general, the color guard is just obviously their job is visual. The musicians have the marching portion and the musical portion, but the guard's job is entirely visual, marching, and then whatever piece of equipment they have. I think I missed what was happening with the green hoops, which is interesting. I was trying to remember to check that out. So that was a nice mixture of all of those elements, and I'm sure that we'll get to see more of that tonight. Keep an eye out for those things.